Fort Rucker, Alabama was located in very southern Alabama and was a warm, sunny paradise for many of us from the freezing northern states. And we had classes 5 days a week for about 10 hours a day and had Saturdays and Sundays off and could go off base for those days. In the base PX, we could buy civilian clothes and certainly did so that once off base we could try and disguise ourselves as not being soldiers, but our blunt-tipped black low-cut army dress shoes along with our short haircuts gave us away. But it was nice not to wear army clothes anyway. It made us feel somewhat normal, huh? There was a town, Dothan, Alabama, that was very close to the base that had the bars and the women that so many soldiers longed for. I never went to Dothan, but I wanted very badly to see the salty Gulf of Mexico. I was far away from Chicago and I wanted to see the sights. Heck, I thought I'd need to take advantage of my geographical position. I have never been so far away from my Chicago home. A weekend pass was from Friday afternoon formation until Monday morning formation. Most guys just stayed on base or maybe went to Dothan for a while. My first weekend pass started out for me by walking out of the Army base and hitchhiking south down to Panama City on the coast of the Gulf. I figured I had enough money to rent a hotel room down there if I could make it that far. Most of the roads that led directly to Panama City were back gravel roads, and those were the ones I hitchhiked on. They were mostly short trips in between small white or black hamlets. Very interesting for me to see so much very rural country, and how the little towns were all black people or all white people. I was not prejudiced against any race or ethnicity. I figured people were people. There were good people and there were bad people, and that heritage or ethnicity had nothing to do with any of it. I was from the Chicago area, so that I was introduced to all sorts of people at an early age. Chicago was certainly a mixing pot of people. I think I had a feeling if that I considered a girl attractive, no matter what race or ethnicity she was. Why would I consider that race or ethnicity bad? Ha! Sort of a young man's way of rationalizing things in a way. But I knew there were a lot of white people who were bad news. In my way of looking at things, it depended on the individual's behavior, whether that person was good or bad, period. Nothing else. At the age of 74, nothing has changed for me in my outlook on bigotry, except thinking deeper about it. I do believe being a bigot is a crime against humanity and oneself as being a part of humanity. One cannot be truly happy with the negative thought of bigotry embedded in one's brain. I had rides from all sorts of people, black and white farmers to delivery drivers. I guess there wasn't a whole lot of hitchhikers on the back roads of southern Alabama unless one lived in the area. One old white fellow driving an old pickup truck and stopped and picked me up, and we started to talk. He guessed that I was Army from Fort Rucker, and I said yes, that I was headed to the Gulf Coast. He said, "I take it you're a northerner from your accent." I said yes, from Illinois. He hit the brakes and said, "I'm sorry, but you will have to get out. I'm not giving a ride to no damn Yankee." So I got out, and as he pulled away, I read the sign on the back of his pickup that read, "Wallace for President." Oh well, I thought, I didn't fight in the Civil War, but some people, I guess, are still upset about the whole thing. I guess some people think that freeing slaves was not a good idea. Pathetic. Well, hitchhiking the back dirt and gravel roads of southern Alabama and northern Florida was not only a sightseeing trip, but a mind trip. I loved it. I got to talk to a lot of people on their own home turf, and it was sure different from what I experienced in my suburban life after 8 years old when the family moved to Oak Park, and much different from the big city life that I also experienced. The rural people, both black and white, had taken on a very slow style life, it seemed. They even spoke slow, like dragging their words with a drawl. I thought the much slower pace of life was what I would prefer if I had a choice. And the weather was what I also preferred. It was sunny and warm. The future was certainly unknown for me, but if I could, I would prefer to live down south than up north. Fort Rucker was about 90 miles from Panama City. I managed to make it to Panama City about noontime as I left early in the morning. I had my civilian clothes on and carried sort of a gym bag that was popular at the time. I walked immediately to the beach once reaching the city. How wonderful the huge beach was with the water rolling to the sand. I was mesmerized by the sea and the seagulls flying around. The sight, sound, and the smell and taste of the salt and fish was a dream. As I was on the beach, I noticed that not many people were there. Not like North Avenue Beach in Chicago on a nice summer day. So I took a leisurely stroll down the beach along the water's edge with my pants rolled up and my shoes and socks off. The water felt so refreshing. I walked for hours and noticed that there were some low one-story motels pretty much right on the beach where one could hear the surf and walk right out the sliding glass door and onto the sand. I never thought that these might exist. I thought that I would try and pay for one of these rooms for a night, as probably it would be better than sleeping outside on a park bench or on the beach somewhere. I didn't have much money, but I might have enough for a night on a room on the beach. At the time, we in the Army only made $1.90 per month, and I was saving money for transportation and a leave home someday. But here I was on a new adventure by the seacoast, so what the heck? Time to spend some money. I never was afraid of spending money. Usually spent it as soon as I had it. So I rang the office doorbell of the motel, and an older man and woman answered. They asked how many of us were going to be in the room, and I said just me. They asked if I was from Fort Rucker, and I said yes, that I hitchhiked from the fort so that I could see the Gulf of Mexico. They were surprised I was alone and that I had hitchhiked. They told me the going price for the room, which seemed a lot, but they gave it to me half price as they were not really busy, and it was my first day along the coast, so I had a great room right on the sand with double glass doors all to myself. The first time I was by myself since entering the Army, about 10 weeks. I purchased a soda and a hot dog down the beach to eat. I was the king now. I could not have asked for more. I had a great night's sleep listening to the gentle surf washing against the soft sand. This I figured was heaven. Peace and solitude. Peace. I woke up at daybreak the next morning and purchased a chocolate donut and walked along the beach. I stripped down to my undershorts and went into the water. How wonderful it all was. I even saw an alligator farm along the beach. Well, this is Sunday, and I had better get back to the fort eventually, so in the afternoon I started my hitchhiking again back north. I went the back roads again. Sundays were different. The black towns had church meetings going, the singing was really great, and I swore the little white wooden church was swaying to the music. It was the first time I heard black gospel music. Everyone was singing, music and picnics. That's what went on all day Sunday. The little white towns had their church day going too, but more subdued. I had no trouble getting rides from one little town to the next. People were moving around, visiting on Sunday, all in their finest clean clothes. Beautiful, what an experience, all good people. Life can be so entertaining and amazing if you keep yourself open to traveling and other ways of thinking about things. I did, after a leisurely hitchhike, get back to the Army base. Of course, everyone at the barracks wanted to know what my journey and experience was like. Most of them stuck around the Army base and went to see a movie or read books in the barracks, or went shopping at the base PX, and had lots to eat at the mess hall. A nice and easy way to spend the weekend. A few went into Dothan looking for women and drinking in the taverns, but they couldn't find women, and the taverns were disgustingly full of drunken soldiers.